Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the new review on our channel. Today we're gonna do an old world review. This is a typical game which similar to Civilization. Even the developers are from the Civilization. So the story of my campaign in Old World, where I lead my Greek civilization to global domination, is equally the story of Rome. My greatest nemesis in this spawning turn-based 4X. When I was first incorporated in the Romans, they were extremely friendly, offering us gifts, hospitality. But it was a poison challenge, quite literally. As sickness spread and Roman gestures of friendship were the source. I demanded justice and compensation. Rome only wanted war. It would take nearly 200 years until I got my revenge. It was not a single continuous war. The first conflict ended without much resolution, with the distance between our empires and the massive mountain chain that separated us creating some logistical difficulties. There were still battles, certainly costing both of us more than faceless soldiers. Family members, revered generals and close friends also lost their lives. And between the wars were heated diplomatic meetings and more than a little bit of espionage, which again cost the lives. I'll never forget myself for sending my good pal Confucius, the Chinese philosopher, to inflate Roma, where he spent a couple of years before he was murdered. On one occasion I even sacrificed my hairs to the eternal graduate. It's rather fitting that after all that loss and rage, the fall of the Roman Empire also marked my victory over the old world itself. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Despite using the language of civilization from the workers to wonders, it should be starting to become clear that Soren Johnson at Mohawk Games take the historical 4X formula is quite different to Firaxis' approach. You still build cities, conquer one and others, develop the titles around them, and along the way determine the cultural and scientific destiny of your civilization. So there are plenty of important similarities, which would not be a surprise given that Johnson was also the leader design of Civilization 4, as I mentioned before. But Old World feels like a meaningful evolution, and it's extremely welcome one. The most notable advancement is undoubtedly the importance placed on the people. Like Crusader Kings, you are not an immortal ruler leading your people from the birth of civilization all the way to space, race and beyond. Instead, your famous starting ruler will eventually die. When Philip II left his mortal coil, the empire passed to his son, Alexander, who became known as Alexander the Noble. Sadly, he didn't do enough to earn the great moniker, who then left his daughter 40 years later. You got heirs and succession laws to worry about, as well as a court full of potential friends and enemies. As the name suggests, Old World sticks to antiquity, slowing down civilization pace to allow characters to make an impression. It will be pretty tough to do that if even turn move things forward by decades. Your friends and enemies will be hanging around for a long time, as long as something untoward doesn't happen to them. These courtiers, generals and other important folk grow and react, increasing their attributes to become more charismatic or disciplined, while also picking traits like wanton and shimmer. They have affairs, illegitimate children, and can plot the demise to the other characters, including the ruler. In the mid-game, I found myself playing a particularly talented king, beloved by his people, and the triumvirate of influential families constantly vying for power and attention. His uncle, however, was decidedly not a fan. Years before, when I was playing as his father, I encouraged certain unpleasant traits in my son, which benefited me at the time. I had no idea I was creating a nephew killer. When it came to the reap what I sowed, I had some regrets. Much of this plays out through engaging event pops up, typically giving you multiple options that depend on your traits and resources. You can get to decide how children are educated, how you react to the diplomatic insult, or what to do with the possibly magical sword that just dug up. I opted for stunning a cult and changing them admission to see a fancy blade. Often you won't see impact for years, so there is always surprise around the corner. This all contributes to a sense that you are truly shaping your own civilization, and in ways that go beyond changing some stats. Slavery, for instance, grows up in both Old World and Civilization, but how it impacts both games is quite different. In Civ 4, for instance, it lets you sacrifice part of your population to rush a construction project. In Old World, however, it becomes a topic that's up for debate. You might find that your people have to come to their senses and want to abolish it, encouraging you to talk out the grotesque institution. If only the UI did a good job of keeping track of his stuff. It can be jarring to go from the flavor event text to abstract, soulless numbers that the UI boils them down to. It's overwhelming and it's just not that informative. Every interaction is made a little worse because it's necessary faffing around in discreet, continuity menus and drag you all over the screen. Even after winning my first campaign, I still found myself getting occasionally lost, and I still don't know how to find crucial information on things like the spread of religion. The tutorial and the encyclopedia are also little help, choosing bravely and vagueness over clear institution. There's so much more context and clarity in the event text. So I wish Old War writers were a bit more involved in designing the interface, which could definitely benefit from their skills. Along the event, the characters would have been enough to grab my attention. Civilization and Crusader Kings are two of the great, and combining their philosophies leading to a game that feels trailer more to my interest in. But Old World is filled with the new ideas and ways of doing things, dramatically changing how you forge a lasting empire. Every unit has a specific movement range and room for one action per turn, but without orders they can't do anything. Orders are a resource that you spend on giving units and characters like you ambassador of Spy Master commands. Move here, attack this loser. Steal research from this work. As you start expanding the field, more troops, workers and missionaries, you'll find yourself having to prioritize where to spend orders each turn, so that's why you don't find your tank empty right when you're about to make a critical move. It's a strategic complication, but sometimes it can actually take the pressure off you. The system teaches you, is that okay to not to take action this turn? You don't need to do everything in one go. You got 200 years to kill. Orders are tied to legitimacy. With a higher legitimacy generation, more orders per turn. It's another abstract resource spawning yet another wrinkle. See, you improve the legitimacy of your region by generally being insular, promoting national unity and the people of your chosen civilization above all else. Often this means you have to treat foreigners with the suspicious and take a strong stance that will make the rest of the world think you are a dickhead. It reflects how real leaders sometimes fan the flames of national fever and encourage small-minded attitudes. You can thankfully still be an extremely effective ruler without pandering to the worst aspects of national identity. Some buildings, which I should add, are constructed by workers rather than from the city menu, letting you embark on a several construction project at the same time generate small amounts of legitimacy that over the time can give you a significant boost. That's something Old World excels at, always giving you more ways to achieve your objectives. Resources management is another example. On top of your abstract stuff, there is also tangible resources like stone, iron, wood, and gold, which are required for trade and more importantly construction. It's a hungry game that demands a healthy stockpile. If you are running low, however, you can simply spend gold to buy more. If you're out of gold, you can also see whatever resource is abundant. Summary: Old World, a clever spiritual successor to Civilization, full of bold novelties and big ideas. So if you like the Civilization, you definitely should try it, because this is lit.